All right, by the way, imagine you're a U.S. general on the roof of your base and you're watching drones. You don't know what they are, where they're from, just flying over, and it's going on night after night. That is what happened to our military. This is a story that's gone all the way to the White House. I'm not talking about people flying drones around airports or paparazzi looking into backyards. I'm talking about multiple major breaches of some of the most restricted U.S. airspace, including our most sensitive military and national security sites. All of this is according to the Wall Street Journal, or most of it anyway, which interviewed multiple U.S. generals and many other government officials. Here's what we know so far. In October of last year, 5 drones flew over a little-known government site in Nevada used for nuclear weapons experiments. Then in recent months, more unidentified drone swarms, as they've been described, flew near Edwards Air Force Base near Los Angeles. And here's the doozy of them all. Last December, the biggest incursion we know, a dozen or more drones every night for 17 nights straight, circling the area of Langley Air Force Base along the Virginia shore. This is an area that includes the Navy's SEAL Team 6. I know you've heard of them. Also, Naval Station Norfolk happens to be the largest naval port in the world. A lot of classified stuff there. And earlier this week, the Pentagon spokesperson did get a question about the sightings over Langley. Watch.
The number of those UAS incursions did fluctuate on any given day, but they didn't appear to exhibit any hostile intent. It's something that we...
Some carefully read remarks there. I have lots of questions, so do others. Where are these drones coming from? What are the drones trying to find out about us or our bases? And how come the military didn't just shoot them down?
That's my biggest question. And we have the Wall Street Journal reporter that broke this story. His name is Gordon Lubold. He is a White House and national security reporter with the Journal. Gordon, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So here on my list of questions, my first question is literally, what? Exclamation point. How is this possible? And again, why did the military just not shoot these drones down?
Right. We recognize it's a totally crazy story. It was a lot of fun to report. I think unlike a lot of stories we try to write where you answer questions, there's a lot of questions that are left unanswered in our story. I think there are a bunch of different issues about why they weren't able to shoot them down, but one of them is that this is, as you mentioned, that one of the largest incursions of these swarms of drones, or the first one, over a U.S. military base.
Gordon, this is one of the most interesting stories I've seen reported in recent years. And part of what makes it interesting is you have these on-the-record interviews with U.S. generals. They're talking to you for a reason. And then you also have these unnamed officials that talk to you. And my understanding, tell me if I'm wrong here, the military does not think this is just a bunch of hobbyists, right?
No, that was like initially when this started to happen, I think that was a theory, but then it was rejected quickly because there's the sheer number of the drones that were flying over this base regularly every evening after dusk. Usually the show began, as I said. And so they realized that this had to be it couldn't be a hobbyist or hobbyists, and that leaves a foreign adversary.
So, Gordon, you report that this issue made it all the way to the Situation Room in the White House, and they were brainstorming ideas for how they could capture these drones or stop these drones. Can you walk through some of these scenarios that they were trying to figure out?
Sure. And I mentioned that the Pentagon's UFO office was brought in to consult during these incidents. There were a number of different options considered. One of them was using directed energy to shoot or disable the drones. Another was to jam the drones. And another was the my favorite, which was to shoot big nets into the air and capture them. Problem with almost all these were that there was no authority, no legal authority, and some of these things caused problems, like jamming a drone could potentially disable the 911 system on the ground, and that would be problematic. Others could potentially, you could shoot a drone down, but it could land on somebody's head, and that's no good either.
Gordon, I have to say, overall, the Pentagon, the military establishment, they seem to be relatively calm or casual, cool and collected even about this, which strikes me as a threatening story. Are they more worried behind the scenes?
Yeah, absolutely. This is, as you recall, the Chinese balloon incident that happened earlier that year, and everybody's kind of on, pins and needles about those kinds of incidents. That was a very public incident that the media paid attention, Americans paid attention. This was kind of the Chinese balloon incident that you never heard about, really, because there was a lot of churn inside government about this and a lot of concern. I think one of the things that just kind of lays bare is you've got a military that's one of the best trained, one of the most capable, $800 billion spent on it each year, which was essentially, this incident exposed, how vulnerable it can be to just a cheap drone that you can buy at Costco.
That's amazing, yeah.
And there was an arrest, but we'll direct people to your article to read more about who was arrested and the story behind that.
People should make their way through the whole thing. Gordon Lubold and your team there, your colleagues did a fantastic job with this one. Thank you very much for talking about it.
Thanks very much.